So before gloves start popping,
diving stands up, throws to first, and he got him at first.
And bats start cracking.
Well hit, way back there. Adios! Pelota!
We bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for over 30 years.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Lurie.
It's great to have everyone back with us
On the Sports Leader.
Welcome to Talkin' Baseball on this Sunday morning as we get ready for Game 4 between the Giants and the Colorado Rockies. And this will be the last game before the All-Star break. And for the Giants, now 40-55, 15 games under 500, with 67 games left to play. Well, they have a 2-1 lead in this series with the Rockies. And let's face it, when the Rockies come into town, you know good things are going to happen for the Giants. In the last 42 games, the Giants are 35-7 against the Rockies. Now, in Colorado, the Rockies are a different team. In San Francisco, they're not quite as strong, and the Giants are just a better team and really should win these games. They've taken 2 of the first 3 games of this series, and unfortunately on Friday night they lost the game they should have won by giving up runs in the 9th inning, but that has been the story of 2026. So for the Giants, they're 4-5 against Colorado, and yesterday Brubaker got the save, and the game yesterday was interesting. The Giants win at 4-2. Kyle Freeland, the lefty, gave him a lot of trouble until the 5th inning. Then all of a sudden the Giants got a double off the bat of Eldridge for their first hit in the 5th inning. And then Jesus Rodriguez, who's up here now, and he came through with a very nice hit, a double. The kid can hit. I'm not sure where they're going to play him, but he did catch yesterday and put him on the board. The Rockies then tied it up with Karros getting that home run, number 9 for him. But then things happened for the Giants in the 5th inning, and it was a good part of the game yesterday. It really was. Ramos gets a base hit off Freeland in the 6th. And then the Giants do something which I wish they would do more of. It looked like a hit and run where Ramos took off, and you know who is up. Arise is at the plate. We'll talk about Arise today, and I know it's probably difficult for the Giants to sign him. There's a lot of complications that go along with it and needs and all sorts of stuff like that. But, boy, what a pleasure this guy is to watch. He's such a catalyst for the lineup. So they do the hit and run. It looked like a hit and run. And Arise perfectly hits the ball through the vacated shortstop spot. Ramos gets to third. Casey Schmidt comes up, hits a high pop foul that the kid Rumfield for the Rockies, their young first baseman, couldn't catch, and it dropped in foul territory. Gave Schmidt a new life, and you know it's going to happen. Bang! He smacked one over 400 feet to left center field. Homer 19 for Casey Schmidt. RBI number 50 for him. And what a season. We'll talk about first half surprises. Casey Schmidt has been absolutely fantastic. At third base, he's played great third. He's hit a home run at 6 different positions, something like that, and that just doesn't happen. And truthfully, he should be an all-star. There's only one more day, obviously, before all-star rosters are solidified. Who knows what could happen, but it looks like it's not going to happen for him. But has a tremendous first half for the Giants, a 3-run homer, and that puts them up 4-1, and they hold on to win it 4-2. Brubaker, as I said, got the save. For Brubaker, 17 games for him, 29 innings pitched, only given up 6 earned runs, and has done very well out of long relief, and comes in yesterday and gets it done for the Giants. Willie Adames still struggling along, 5 for his last 32. The Giants are 5-6 in their last 11 games. In July, they're 5-5. At home, 21-25, and against the West, 12-19. Now, don't forget, you end up playing, 52 games against the West. So they play 31, and they're 12-19 right now. This was a 2-run game yesterday. They were, in the 1 or 2 run games, they're 16-18. And the big number, Colorado away from Coors, 17-33. They are just a different team away from Coors, and the Giants are a better team and should win these games. After the break, the Giants start off with Seattle, July 17th through the 19th up there to take on Seattle, another team that has trouble scoring runs, good starting pitching. And we'll have to see how the Giants do on the road there. It'd be nice to get off to a good start after the break. All right, who's pitching today? Michael Lorenzen pitches today for the Rockies, 34 years old. He's 3-9 with a 6.46 earned run average. The whip is 1.78. And the best thing I can say about him, he's a good hitter. He also could hit. Unfortunately, he doesn't have to hit in this league. Against the Giants, 3 2/3 earlier in the season, 5 hits, 3 runs, a couple of walks, and a couple of strikeouts. 92 innings pitched, 129 hits, 14 homers, 35 walks, 72 strikeouts. Lefties 351, righties 301. First pitch 17 for 48. What can I say? Everybody on the team is capable of hitting them. Adames 1 for 8, Arise 5 for 10, Devers 1 for 4. How about Devers? This guy is hot or what? Eldridge 1 for 1, Haas 1 for 3 with a homer, Lee 2 for 5, Ramos 3 for 5, and Schmidt 1 for 4. So that's Lorenzen against the Giants today on Sunday. Trevor McDonald goes for the Giants, 25 years old. He's 3-7 with a 5.46 earned run average. You never know what you're going to get from him. 3 bad ones, 1 good one. When he misses, it's non-competitive pitches. I can't understand it, why he can't throw better strikes. At home, he's gotten hit hard, 28 innings, 35 hits, 26 runs. He's only made 15 major league starts. He's been in 12 games this year, 59 innings, 62 hits, 20 walks, and 50 strikeouts. Lefties 318 with all 5 homers against them. Righties 202. First pitch 12 for 27, so they're ambushing him pretty good with a couple of homers. But first time through 194, then 301, then 341. But against Colorado last year, and it is in San Francisco, so, Giants better at home here against the Rockies. Last year, 7 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, no earned runs. No walks and 10 strikeouts against the Rockies. So you look up and down the lineup, Fulford 1 for 3, Goodman 0 for 3, Karros 1 for 3, Tovar 1 for 3 with a homer. And that's it. So should be a good matchup for the Giants today, but as I've said every Sunday, you never know what's going to happen. We have our contest today. Win dinner for 2 at Original Joe's, North Beach, Westlake, or Walnut Creek. Just guess the score of the game and tweet it in at Baseball Marty, or you can call Kyle or Raph 808-KNBR and let them know your guess. And also, Raph picks a random winner for dinner for 2 at Soto Mare in North Beach, 552 Green Street, and Laura and Rich Azolino are the owners, and it's a fabulous meal. This is a great contest, and I must thank all the people who win and go and send me emails and pictures about the great time they had. So it's a lot of fun to do that. All right, it is Sunday. It is the end of the first half of the baseball season. Not a good one for the Giants, but some good things are happening for them. They've gotten a new draft pick, Jackson Flora, number 4 from Santa Barbara. They got a new lefty, a 6'4", 215, 19-year-old. Carson Bowman from South Carolina. Looks a little like Bum. What can I tell you? And they got a relative of the Bonds family, Peyton Bonds, the nephew of Barry Bonds, an outfielder from Rutgers. They've drafted him as well. So there's plenty to talk about today. The professor is next, right here. Ron Wotus, KNBR 680, 104.5, the sports leader.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Lurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader. Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Lurie.
I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. Like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, nice to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. Jason Foley has been added to the roster. I guess he's done with his rehab and that shoulder injury, and he was a closer before with the Tigers. And Spencer Bivens is sent back to Sacramento. All right, we bring in the professor, Ron Wotus. Whoa, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Marty. How about yourself? How are things down there in sunny Arizona?
It's a little warm. Let's put it that way. But,
okay.
You know, thank God the air conditioning works, and that's the key to life here. But I was just thinking, you know, I always listen to the River Islands commercial, and we like to comment on it. 10 new neighborhoods in that commercial, and it's probably more since we did that commercial. How about that for a subdivision where you actually can have different neighborhoods? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Look, I mean, you know, this place keeps expanding and expanding, and it's a full-fledged town at this point. When they started with, you know, not much at all, Marty, as you well know. So there's a lot to love about it and a lot of options to look at when you go up there for housing, you know, different price ranges, different models, you know, on the waterway, not on the waterway. But the beauty for me, Marty, is everything. It's a small community, and it feels like, you know your neighbor, you know, and it feels like a small town.
Yeah, and you got choices, which is what I like. You know, a little diversity is nice. I like that. All right, you're in the dugout, thank goodness, because things are happening. This umpiring crew, well, in watching these last two games, I'm not sure what was going on. Let's go back to Friday night, the end of the game, with the line drive to center field. And was it caught? Wasn't it caught? It looked like one of those daffy Brooklyn Dodger games from the 1930s where three runners were on one base or something. What happened?
Right. Well, first off, Lance Barksdale is the crew chief here. He's a good umpire and a nice man. He wants to get things right, but that was one of those plays. I mean, if you're a base runner, Marty, put yourself in the base runner's position. You know, you really can't tell whether that ball's caught or not. So, you know, what do? You stay at the base or you go. So, you know, they elected to stay because it appeared that he had caught it, but you rely on the umpire to make a call. And we got a good vantage point in the dugout. We're looking out there, and you got four umpires, and nobody made a call. And the runners are looking around. What's the call? What's the call? Finally, 5 or 7 seconds later, Barksdale makes an out call. And, of course, then they start touching the bases, you know, to double people up. And so, of course, Tony's, you know, upset at this call. I mean, how come nobody made a call? What's the runner supposed to do? So eventually they made an out call, which worked in our favor, because then we had an opportunity to go to replay. Because he made the out call, you know, we could review it, and we did review it. And the reason we reviewed it is if that ball was not caught, then the rule is the runners advance a base and the batter goes to first base. So there's no double play and the inning is not over. If he would have ruled it a hit and we try to review it, the call would stand on the field, and because it was not caught, and we would have been doubled up and the inning would be over. So because they called out and we challenged it and was a hit, we were able to have the bases loaded.
Yeah, for about 5 minutes, nobody knew what was going on. Wasn't that funny?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, as a base runner, I've been in that situation and seen it several times. I've never seen an umpire not make a call. Usually they make a call, and then it's either right or wrong before the video replay. You couldn't challenge anything, and you see guys get tossed for that. But it worked out in at the end in our favor, and so it's a tough call. It's a tough call to make, and but somebody's got to make a call.
Grant McCrae said it. He was on second base, the runner. He said, I looked at the second base umpire, and his eyes were like cold, dead fish eyes. He didn't know what to. And, Grant McCrae
right.
is a very good fisherman in the off season, by the way, and he knows dead fish eyes when he sees them. And I thought
Okay.
that was the best comment. All right. So that's not crazy enough. We had something yesterday where the first run for the Rockies comes in on a balk call, and then all of a sudden no one knows what the count is. How about that one? And Tony eventually gets thrown out of the game.
Yeah, I don't blame Tony for getting thrown out of this game. I mean, there was multiple things happening here where they really, if there's 3 umpires there. One guy was not there. They sent one guy out. Someone was going to replace him, but there was only 3. But they really missed the boat on this as well. So, in this day and age with all these crazy wind-ups that look like stretches, when you have a man on third base, you have to declare to the umpire whether you're going out of the stretch or if you're going out of the wind-up. And if you do not declare which way you're going and you throw a pitch, it's a balk immediately. And when there's a balk, regardless what the pitch was, the pitch doesn't count. It's nullified, and the runner at third goes home. Well, Molly has one of those hybrid deliveries. He looks like he's starting in the stretch, and then he pushes his foot forward, and then goes up into a semi windup. So, anyways, he throws a pitch. It's a strike, and nobody says anything. Okay, they should have balked him right then and there because he did not declare, and that was on him. But they don't say anything. Now Molly gets the ball back, and he's getting ready to throw his second pitch, and the third base coach for the Rockies is yelling, talking to the third base coach. He didn't declare one, and he was right. So now they start walking towards the mound. Molly steps off the mound, and now they all get together, and they call a balk. And, of course, they didn't call it in the moment. They waited. The pitch went by, and then they waited till Molly had the ball back and actually was getting ready to throw another pitch but stepped off the mound, and then they're going to call the balk. And Tony's argument is valid. You can't go back in time and do that. And then the other side, Marty, what you saw, the scoreboard has 0-1, and there's another mistake. The umpire did not say the count is 0-0 when he went back to pitching after they scored the run. Right? He's got to let you know the count. So Molly throws 2 more fastballs. The guy strikes out. He walks to the dugout, and they call him back. You're not out because that first strike was nullified because of the balk. So never seen that. That's a crazy play for sure, and it wasn't a good play for the umpires.
All right. Well, Tony Vitello got his money's worth. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
So it was good to see it. Well, we had action in the game yesterday, and one of my favorite plays, it looked like a hit and run. Ramos finally gets a hit. Freeland kind of shut the Giants down there until the 5th inning. Ramos gets the hit, and that brings up my favorite player, Arise. And it looked like a hit and run, and Arise hit it perfectly between where the shortstop should have been, and you get first and third out of it. And then, of course, Schmidt hits the home run. But how about a hit and run there, Woe?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Arise is so good. He's probably one guy in the game could see the runner going, watch the fielder going to cover, and hit it where he vacated. He's that good. So it was a big play in the game. We got first and third, and, we haven't done a whole lot of that. And that really opens up an inning, especially when you're facing a tough pitcher. You don't have anything going. You got an infielder out of position, and boom, here we go. We used to do it a lot over the years, and Arise is a perfect candidate for a hit and run. And, of course, Schmidt came up and continued swinging the bat well like he has. He's got, I think it's 20 home runs now, maybe 19 or 20.
19. Yeah,
19. And what a half he's had. So, yeah, it was a big moment in the game. Of course, the bullpen shut him down, and we were able to hold on to that 3-run lead. It eventually was 4-2 and win the game. So it was a nice ball game yesterday.
Look, Arise is something else, and I realize it's complicated, and maybe he'll get traded, maybe not. And there's a lot of things that get into this. But, whoa, when you watch this guy play, I'm not sure there's another hitter in baseball. He'll take a pitch just for the heck of it, and then he'll start laughing. It's almost like Bonds, where, he knows he's going to get a pitch to hit eventually, and he's going to hit it.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I didn't see Pete Rose every day or Wade Boggs or, Rod Carew or Tony Gwynn. I saw a little bit, but not every day. And good hitters are not afraid to take a strike. But I have never seen a hitter take the second strike where he's not even thinking about swinging. And he does that. He predetermines. Most of the time, you're looking for a pitch in your zone. And you may want to look at a pitch the first time you see a pitcher. So maybe you're taking that strike. But most of the time, hitters are looking for their pitch. So a pitcher throws a breaking ball that you don't want to hit. It's on the outside corner. You take it. That's what a good hitter does. You don't swing at it just because it's a strike. But again, Arise doesn't do this. He wants to look at pitches. And he just predetermines on the second strike, I'm not going to swing. And then sure enough, 2 pitches later, he's got 2 strikes on him. They throw a fastball down the middle or on the corner, and he whacks a base hit. So I've never seen anybody approach hitting like that. And as you said, he's very animated up there. The confidence with his hitting is through the roof. The confidence in his defense is through the roof. And it's really a good example for young players to see how important it is to believe in yourself and be confident in what you're doing.
You mentioned that you used to do hit and runs. Who were some of your best hit and run guys that you've had where you could put it on and it's going to happen?
Well, Joe Panic was one. Boach hit and run with him a lot. One hitter that you would say, why do you want to hit and run with him? Well, sometimes if you're not swinging that good, or, you're in a little bit of a rut, it opens up a hole. Buster used to hit and run for us, and he'd shoot that ball to right field, and we'd have first and third. Those are a couple of guys. Any of the contact guys, Arise could do it. Rodriguez with us, he's a pretty good contact guy. He hits that ball, the other way really, really well. Got a big hit for us yesterday. He can do it. But, the two that really come to mind most recent is Joe Panic and Buster.
Yeah, good ones. Boy, I didn't think about Buster, but boy, I always said if Buster wanted to hit the ball up the middle or to right field, he'd hit 400. That's how good he was at hitting the ball up the middle. That was his spot. Boy, obviously we look at the first half. The closer situation has been well publicized. Well, if you look for a closer, what do you look for in a closer? Because the Giants have gone through half a dozen of them, and I'm not sure we've settled on anything yet. But what do you look for when you're saying, okay, this guy could be a closer?
Well, I think the first thing that jumps out at you is the stuff. You want great stuff to where you can pitch in the zone and get swings and misses. A la like Rob Nen or Brian Wilson. Or you just have a nasty pitch that is almost unhittable, kind of like Mariano Rivera, right? He would throw one pitch, that cutter, and he would eat people up with it. Rob Nen had, he threw 96, 97, but he had a nasty slider. So those things are first and foremost. And you got to have someone that could command the ball somewhat. I mean, there have been closers that, do walk guys, but they have such strikeout stuff that they get out of it. Brian Wilson had a little of both. He had tremendous stuff, but he could paint the corners with his fastball and with his slider, and that made him especially tough when he was in his heyday. But that's number one, is the stuff. And when you see guys with stuff, you say, okay, he's got an opportunity to do it, or he should be able to do it. But the second part is the makeup. You have to have a short memory. You can't be afraid of the moment. And as we all have seen, it's not easy to pitch the ninth inning. Now, a lot of baseball people have debated, we're going to use the matchups and, analytics, and it's just an inning. Well, it's been proven time and time and again. The ninth inning is different. There's something, the pressure, the game's on the line. Not everybody can handle that. So as Felipe would say, you want a man that you can trust out there, and he's not afraid of the moment. and has a short memory, obviously, because when you get knocked around, you got to come back the next day and do it again. And, when you have shaken confidence, it can be difficult to perform in this game. So you have to have someone that hits like a rise with the ultimate confidence that they believe in what they're going to do, and they're going to get it done no matter how many times they get beat.
Did Brian Wilson drive you crazy, though? Because he would work the count, and, it's the old Don Stanhouse of the Orioles. Earl Weaver would smoke a whole pack of cigarettes in the ninth inning with Stanhouse on the hill. Did Wilson drive you nuts like that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, but after a while watching him, he always came back in the count. So, it got to a point, you're still a little nervous, but you're less nervous because, he always comes through and he didn't walk many people. And you're right about the old full pack. I played with Stanhouse in Hawaii in AAA. He at the end of his career, he used to hit me fungos every single day, Marty, at second base. And you know what? He never hit a ball at me or to my left. Every ball he hit the whole season was up the middle. I was running up the middle and backhanding the ball and the slow rollers, and he drove me nuts. But even playing behind him, you're right, old full pack, it was 3-2 on everybody, and he'd come through and throw that slider for strike three. So it takes a unique guy to be able to do that.
Beautiful. Hey, it's the All-Star Game coming up. You were part of it for a number of years, obviously. Any All-Star moments that you remember that come back for you?
Well, I think, the thing that's most special, there's not one particular moment, but is being able to be around the players, talk to the other players in the league that you compete against. I really enjoyed that, talking to individuals. I remember talking to, Tulowitzki with Colorado, a kid that's a very good shortstop, had a nice career. And we were talking about, infield play. And he said something to me. He goes, "Hey, that Crawford kid you got, he looks pretty good. But what I don't understand is when on the slow roller, when he comes to get it, why does he catch the ball, then set his feet and stop and throw?" And immediately I was like taken aback a little bit because that's the way I was taught. That's the way we teach it. That's the way the old school coaches that taught it to us is when you can set your feet and throw, you do it. Well, unbeknownst to me, and this is where I learned about the Rockies, how they all run through the ball. So, they run through that slow roller, they catch it. Now, sometimes you have to do it, but if you have time to set your feet, we would set our feet. But they would take a ball that they have time to set their feet, they catch it, they keep running 3 or 4 steps and throw off balance. And Tulo did it all the time, and he taught everybody in Colorado to do it. Nolan Arenado does it. If you watch the Rocky players, the majority of them run through the slow roller and throw it off balance. So that was an eye opener to me, and it's done a lot today's game. Chapman does it a lot. You see him down there at third base doing it.
Yeah, he does. Boy, you were an All-American soccer player, all Northeast, but we're making it All-American. We're going to expand
I like
it.
that, Marty. Yeah, that's good.
You're a great soccer player. How do you like what's going on here with this World Cup? Are you guys watching it?
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. Every chance I get to watch. I think soccer is a game. I know a lot of people don't have a big interest in it, but I'm hoping this World Cup brings a lot more interest to America in the game. It's a great game. There's so much skill involved with it, and I watched Argentina last night, and the skill of these players is just tremendous. Watching Messi, what he can do with the ball, especially around traffic, way he cuts back and forth, and really, really enjoyed it, Marty. So, soccer's in my heart. Matter of fact, mostly because of my high school coach. It was my favorite sport in high school was soccer. I love my coach. I love being outdoors and playing soccer, and I really enjoyed the sport.
Well, the ball comes so hard at the goalie. If the goalie doesn't catch it cleanly and bounces away, good night. It's all over.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of goals that way, and you watch the power they get behind these shots. Are just unbelievable. Sometimes, they bend the ball or they knuckle that ball, and that's the tough one for the goalie to corral. They're going to have to get those gloves that the football receivers use and put some stickum on their hands. I'm sure. I don't know if they're allowed to use a stickum or not. that's I don't know. I don't know the rules of the game that much, but it doesn't look like they have stick 'em on their gloves. That's for sure.
Hey, could you do that? Could you kick it like that?
No, not not at the level and the speed that they did. But when I'm playing against, a small town high school that's in my area, and I was pretty good. Of course, the competition wasn't the greatest, Marty. Most teams were playing football. We didn't have football in high school because we had such a small school. But I had a knack for putting the ball in the net. I'll just say that. I had 89 goals in 4 years of high school. So I enjoyed my time there, and it made it a lot of fun.
All right. Did you have a nickname at all?
Well, some people used to call me Daddy Longlegs. I don't know. That wasn't a nickname that stuck, but I was skinny, right? Skinny and had long legs. So there you go.
All right. Soccer. All right, Sunday morning. This is what we do on Sunday morning. Well, I'll leave it with this. Devers, you called this earlier in the year. You said this is a legitimate power hitter. And he is the power hitter on this team. Maybe he's a little Barry Bonds-like, the way he approaches the world. But I'll tell you one thing. When he hits him, he hits him.
Yeah, look, when you have a track record like he has, usually at the end of the day, you look at the back of the baseball card, and he's going to have his numbers. It's just like the rest of the team. The key, I mean, we're getting guys on base. We just need to push a few more runs across. So he's going to have his numbers. He's going to have his homers. He's going to have his RBIs. And let's hope he has one of his best years and has a tremendous second half, because driving in runs is the thing that you need to do to win the games. And we could use a few more of those. But we're playing better, Marty. I'm encouraged, this homestand so far. Despite the lapses in the bullpen and losing those leads, that certainly has cost us and has been a bugaboo. But, I think all in all, we've been a little more consistent this last week. So I hope we can keep this rolling.
All right. Have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you next weekend. Well, take care.
All right, Marty. Great being with you.
All right. That is the Professor, Ron Wotus. More coming up. Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talkin' Baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR, the sports leader. Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Lurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, nice to have you back with us on this Sunday as we get ready for Game 4 between the Rockies and the Giants, and it's the All-Star break. Bruce Jenkins, good morning. How are you?
Good, Marty. How are you doing?
We're doing well. Finally made it to the All-Star break. It's just another milestone of the season, and you look at the calendar, and boy, you know, we're more than halfway done, so it goes quickly. But yesterday was an interesting day because of the draft. And the Giants had the 4th pick, and there was a lot of intrigue what was going to happen. But they went and got the pitcher they needed. What did you think about it?
Well, yeah, I'm really glad they did that. You know, they keep talking about, well, you don't draft for need, you draft the best player. They're the best player. They talk about 3 different shortstops. I'm thinking they've got like 19 shortstops already in the minors. Get a pitcher, and they did, and they came back with the pick that they got in the Patrick Bailey trade. They got another pitcher who sounds promising. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, none of us has really seen the guy, the number 1 pick, their first-round pick, but I definitely like it. They're raving about him on the air, and that's all we know right now.
Yeah, it was, and he was the number 1 college pitcher. So I was on it early. I said, get the pitcher, and then everyone sort of talked, as you said, about getting shortstops and all that stuff. But I wanted the pitcher. The next kid, the 19-year-old, almost looks a little Bumgarner-ish. You know, 6'4", 215, and they happen to say he can hit. How about that?
Yeah, I like that. Reminiscent of the guy pitching today, Lorenzen was a two-way player for a while before he turned to pitching. But, yeah, it's just – and, you know, it makes you wonder sometimes if you draft a kid, why not try to groom him as a closer? I mean, if he's an obvious starter for the next 10 years, that's one thing. But if he's got lights-out stuff and good control, they need a closer in the worst way. I could think of worse things than you know, zeroing in on a closer instead of the wild and unsuccessful experiment we've seen all season.
Yeah, boy, as you said that, I thought of Greg Olson from Auburn. The Orioles used him in the late 80s, and he was a closer right out of college. So that's not a bad point. But they did get Peyton Bonds. I guess it's Bobby Bonds Jr.'s kid. It's Barry's nephew from Rutgers. And how about that? Does he come with a recliner?
I hope if he does, I hope he'll talk when he's in the recliner and not turn his back to you, but or take a nap for 20 minutes while we're all waiting. But no, all I know is that he's a Bonds. I mean, they had a Bobby. I get them all confused. They had Bobby Bonds Jr. I guess for a while. Obviously Barry and Bobby. Bobby was the best player in the game in the early 70s, and then Barry took over. But you like the name? Well, you know, why not give it a shot? It's gets you a little publicity, and maybe he can play a little.
Yeah. So that was their number 3 pick, and then they got Doug Wachter, who was a major league pitcher. They got his kid, another high school kid. So we'll see. You never know with the draft how it's going to turn out, but I'm glad they at least got 3 pitchers out of the first 4 picks because that's clearly what they need.
Yeah.
You wrote a column about Tony V yesterday, and it was interesting, and said, well, sort of get off his back a little bit, let him manage, and let's see where it goes. So you were a little much in his corner, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I kind of have been all season, partly because I just didn't want to join in the big pile on. You know, obviously he's had his shortcomings, and he's coming in so blind. You can't imagine coming in without any professional experience at any level. He's a college guy. It's obviously the same game. I think he's proven that he knows the game. I like the lineups he throws out there. Mostly the pitching changes make sense, but he was basically doing assumed to not have a good year. They weren't going to win the division, Lord knows. And early on, it became evident that, first of all, they didn't have a good bullpen, and secondly, that San Diego and Arizona were pulling away from them. So you can forget the playoffs, too. So it's not going to be a big champagne fest at the end of the season for this guy. and he can't help that. He can't help any of that. I think he's a good guy. I don't think he's lost the clubhouse. I think the writers are kind of amused by him, and sometimes they like what he does, sometimes not. But that you're going to get that. I mean, the fact that he is a good guy, and not some guy named Snitker. I mean, he's a likable, kind of a youthful kind of guy, and it was fun to see him kind of blow his top a little bit yesterday for good reason. I've never seen a rule where they went back in time 10 minutes, but they sure did on that balk call. But no, I think Vitello deserves a chance, and I think hopefully he'll show up next year with more guys in the bullpen, better years out of the veteran players, whoever's left. Probably most of them are going to be still there, and we'll see how it goes.
And another year of a coaching staff too. I think that was the big issue. If he had Woe and people like that as his first lieutenants, I think he would have been in better shape. So we'll see how that turns out. But I agree with you. I think he will be back, no matter what happens here. Couple of things. One, All-Star moments. We have the All-Star game coming up. You have a favorite All-Star moment?
Well, there's a bunch of them, but I mean, Willie Mays had so many of them, and I'm old enough to remember him leading off the game with a triple. He's leading off for the National League, and he triples. All right, here we are. This is the National League. This is the National League here. He led off another game with a homer. I saw Bo Jackson's home run off Russell in Anaheim. That was completely mind-blowing. That's one of the great ones. I was at Dodger Stadium when James Rodney Richard went out there with the sun glare. He was at his very best, and you talk about a guy who wasn't going to be hit. Oh my goodness! And actually, Steve Stone was pitching too, and he was unhittable that day too. But that was to be in L.A. I thought where I'm from, and hanging around the batting cage, during all the festivities, and seeing all these guys. They had an old timers game, and Aaron was there, and that's a big one. But Mays. It's a long time ago, but he said one of his favorite catches ever was that he robbed Ted Williams of a homer in the 1955 game, way back. The first time he ever played an All-Star game, Marty, it was Jackie Robinson's last All-Star game, and he actually came in to replace Jackie in that game. He went out to center field and moved Duke Snider over to left where Jackie had been playing in the game in Cleveland, and that was kind of an odd juxtaposition. And of course, in '61. The game at Candlestick, they played 2 games for 4 years. They played 2 All-Star games to make a little money for the players' pension fund, if you can imagine. But he scored the winning run in that game. I mean, Mays played at a time where I think I counted this up right. There were 13 All-Star games when he got to the plate 4 times, and a couple others when he had 5. He's in there. What's next? All right, and Cepeda and McCovey had a couple of those too. I mean, they didn't come out, way too early, and all of a sudden the guys you really wanted to see aren't in there. But then of course, the Stu Miller incident was certainly one of the most famous. The same game in '61 at Candlestick, and we've all been out there during the days. It was a straight up day game, and the weather couldn't be better. But in the late innings, it gets very windy out there, and right about the time that big leaguers are taking back batting practice for a night game, and so Stu Miller's out there trying to protect the lead, and the wind kind of gave him a shudder, kind of moved him a little bit. Now the story goes that he got blown off the mound. Well, he didn't get blown off the mound, and he tried to make a point of that. It gave him a start. He had to stop his windup, and he got called for a balk, legitimately so. But he says, I'm always going to be the guy who was blown off the mound no matter what. There were 44,000 people there, and at least 100,000 tell me they saw me flying through the air. You'd think I was blown out into the bay. But it's a great Candlestick story because the wind caused more hell there than anywhere in the history of the Bigs, I think.
Those are good All-Star moments. Those are good baseball moments. Just very briefly for me, Johnny Callison hit a home run in 1964 at Chase. Yeah, 64 at Chase Stadium in Orlando. Got a big hit off of Dick Raditz, the monster.
Oh, yeah.
who was a very tough relief pitcher for the Red Sox in those days, as good as they could ever be.
Yeah.
And Orlando got a big hit, and Alston told Willie Mays, now just get on against Raditz. And Willie said, how am I going to get on against this guy? And somehow he got on, and Johnny Callison hit a 3-run homer, and the National League won. So that was a good one for me. And Willie Mays always said to me, he would tell Walter Alston, just bat me first. You know the story. Bat Hank Aaron second and Clemente third, and I don't care what you do after that. You know?
Oh, my. So great. And then, as I say, they tended to play the whole game, and you got that as a treat the whole day long. But and you mentioned that Callison homer and so many other moments. In those days, there was no interleague play. So Dick Raditz, who the hell knows from Dick Raditz? I don't want to face him. I know that. I'm watching him warm up here. But you hadn't seen any of these guys. The National League guys got to look at Mickey Mantle. It's just there's some really cool kind of moments like that.
Yeah, well, but I kind of miss it, that rivalry.
Yeah.
But I realize things have changed, and the interlocking schedule just changes all of that. All right, well, have a good afternoon. Enjoy the break, and we'll talk to you next week. Very good, Bruce. Thank you.
You betcha. Thanks, Marty.
All right, that is Bruce Jenkins. Coming up next, Mark Simon, Sports Info Solutions, right here on the Sports Leader.
Orange and Black family, the godfather of Giants baseball now continues. This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
Mark Simon, the information wizard from Sports Info Solution. Mark, I love you, man.
He is the wizard, Mark Simon. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we're doing
Good.
well. The pitching matchup today, I think we're going to go very lightly on because the numbers sort of tell the story here of Lorenzen and McDonald. So I'll let you gently go through that.
Sure. Michael Lorenzen is a guy who throws a lot of different pitches, none of them particularly brilliantly in Colorado. Trevor McDonald gives up a lot of hits on his sinker. He gave up more hits on his sinker in his last start than any pitcher has in any start this season. 2 starts ago, he was really good. And I still think that there's something there for him. But he has definitely sputtered a bit to the finish here at the All-Star break.
Yeah, the best I could say about him, with runners in scoring position and 2 out, he's very tough. He's very tough. But other than that, Lorenzen just gets hit by everybody, and he's capable, but it just never works out for him. And McDonald, I agree with you. I think there's more there. It's just he misses with these non-competitive pitches, and I just can't understand it. So we'll see what happens today, but it is the end of what we say is the first half. And the Giants at 40-55, are they as bad as the record, Mark?
I think they could be a couple of games better. I think that if you look at like the advanced statistics and adding up all the WARs and things like that, they maybe check in 10 games under instead of 15 games under. I don't know that makes a difference to anybody. I think there's a lot of people that are pretty mad fan-wise, and I think that that's justified. And it's been rough. I think it is fair to call them right now a bottom 5 or 6 team in the sport. I don't think that that's unfair.
Yeah, they have the players. The pitching is the issue, and I think that's been the biggest problem. There's no mystery about that with all the blown leads and the blown saves and all that stuff. But offensively, they do have players, and some of them are having a decent year, Rise being one, and I think Devers is putting it together, and certainly Casey Schmidt. So when you look at the first half, it's not good. Anything you look for in the second half here? Do they just continue to play the way they are? Can they straighten it out a little more?
Well, I think the story of the second half will be dictated by the trades that they make and the players that they bring in. And in an ideal world, I imagine young, major league ready talent. You would hope that there's someone out there that would be willing to make a deal along the lines of a Javier Baez for Pete Crow Armstrong kind of trade. If you remember that one from a few years ago, that worked out particularly well for the Chicago Cubs. I don't know what that will be. I don't know that someone like Luis Rise is in that much demand, but maybe there will be a team that loses its second baseman. Injuries happen. You don't know what's going to happen with regards to that. I think the thing to watch in the second half, too, will be to see if the league figures out Bryce Eldridge a little bit and if he runs into a little bit of trouble, or if he continues to build off of what he's doing so far. And then, sure, I would say Casey Schmidt. I think Casey Schmidt has had an all-star worthy season. I think he has grown considerably as a hitter, although it's a little weird because he's not doing it. Most guys, if they hit like he's hit, they're hitting off the four-seam fastball. He's not. He's hitting everything else, and he's hitting it all really well. I want to see if he's able to maintain. If he ends up end of the year, 280 batting, 500 slugging, that's a really, really good year for him. 30 homers. Yep. I think that's a year for him to be proud of. It's a year of growth for him. Unfortunately, not a year of growth for a lot of other players.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But he's not chasing the slider as much. And that'll be the big question for him, because that is what he has done in the past. The biggest surprise team, I did this with Bruce a little while ago too. Biggest surprise team for you in each league, what would it be?
I don't think that this is that hard, actually. I think the Chicago White Sox would be number one, tied for first entering the day. The addition of Munetaka Murakami making a very big impact for them, even though he got hurt. Then they have a lot of young guys that are pretty good. They can start a lineup if they want that's got like 7 or 8 guys that are 26 or younger. I think that's great. Tristan Peters in center field is another guy, came out of nowhere, who's been terrific for them. He's a 26-year-old. Antonacci, Miguel Vargas. There's all these guys that have really stepped up for them, and the pitching as well, Davis Martin and Sean Burke. National League, I think it's the Marlins. I did not expect the Marlins to be this good. I think the Nationals are worthy of acknowledgement too. Cardinals probably as well. There are a lot of teams in the National League that are in that like kind of, I guess, upper middle class at the moment, middle class to upper middle class, that are somewhat surprises. The Marlins, the Nationals, Pirates, the Cardinals. I think those in particular have been pretty good. I like the Marlins because I think I like what Otto Lopez has done. He's basically played like an MVP. And I think they have some impressive pitching in Eury Perez and Max Meyer to go along with the ace Alcantara.
I like the Nationals along the same lines. I just think that with James Wood and I don't know, it just they score runs. They just score runs, and I like it. And if they get the bullpen straightened out, I think they could hang in there. I agree with you on the White Sox, though. In your family today, it's a big day. Your father's birthday today, 80 for him.
Yeah, this one's for all the olds out there. No offense. I'm starting to get that one too.
I like it.
Yes. So he's up there. He's at 80. He became a New York Giants fan at age 7. In January of 1953, my grandfather shared a hospital room with Hank Thompson. Hank Thompson immediately became my father's favorite player as a 7-year-old. Stayed loyal to him since. When the Giants left in 57, my dad was crushed, but he listened to the replays on the East Coast, the recreations, with Les Kiter, who is well known for having done that on the East Coast. Went to Giants Mets games at Shea Stadium regularly, adopted the Mets in the early mid-70s, but was loyal to the Giants for as long as he possibly could be, and still I think peripherally hopes for the best for them. But yes, he's 80, and he taught me all the things that I know in terms of love of sports.
And he is at the he's been to the Polo Grounds, correct?
Yes, he went to the Polo Grounds both to see the Giants. He went to a night game where Ruben Gomez pitched as I think an 8 or 9-year-old, and then he went to see the Giants and the Mets. He was at the first Giants-Mets game at the Polo Grounds. Willie McCovey hit 2 home runs. There were 45,000 people there, and as he said, they were all rooting for the Giants.
Funny. Oh, it's great. That's great baseball memory. That's good. That's good stuff. He should call me. We should talk. This is good. I like it. All right. Well,
He's
Mark,
not happy with
appreciate
the current Mets. I'll say that.
No, and it's not getting any better. How about the Yankees, though? I'll leave with that one. You're back east. The Yankees are in the news every day. How bad they're doing. What's up with the Yankees?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there. I think the injury to Aaron Judge certainly has a significant play to that, and Stanton as well, but Stanton gets hurt every year. But I think without Judge, the lineup becomes a little bit smaller. The primary threat is Ben Rice, but they don't have the secondary threats. And I think if you were going to talk about like how sabermetrics doesn't capture how one player necessarily could make an entire lineup better, I think when you remove Aaron Judge from it for 25, 30 games, I think that's where you start to see it.
Well, they could be active in the trade market, and that's where the Giants come in. So let's see. Chapman would fit well there, but that's probably a reach because he's got a no-trade clause. So I don't know if he'd want to go to New York, but they can use some help with the offense. You're right. All right. Have a great day. Enjoy Dad's birthday, and we'll talk to you next Sunday, Mark. Thank you.
You got it. See ya.
Okay, that is Mark Simon. Glenn Kuiper next with Kerry Crowley right after this.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Lurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
Boy, we love Sunday baseball. Nothing better than talking ball with Glenn Kuiper and Kerry Crowley as our Giants warm-up continues. Glenn, first of all, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Marty. How are you guys?
Well, we're doing well. And Kerry, how are you today?
Oh, doing great, Marty. You know me. I love the Major League Baseball draft. It gives me a ton to talk about, so this is a great weekend for me. How are you?
Good. Everything's good. And, boy, the season goes so quickly. I was just looking at the schedule, and, we got half of July and 2 months, and that's it. I mean, it goes so fast. But I did want to start with the draft with you, Kerry. I know at the Standard you've written about it, and you've done a lot of research on it, and Connor Grossman makes his comments, too, on your podcast. But the Giants did go for the pitcher. Thank goodness. We said this months ago that's what they needed, and they went for the pitcher. What do you think?
I think it was a great selection, Marty. And not only did they go for the pitcher at number 4 with Jackson Flora, who's got the 6'5" frame. He's a Bay Area kid. He's got a fastball that touches triple digits. They have gone pitching throughout this draft. They just made their pick in the 9th round, Marty, but 6 of their first 8 selections pitchers. And I think that was critical for this organization. When you look at the state of the farm system, they need more velocity. One of the reasons we've seen the rotation and the bullpen struggle this year, they don't have guys who can ramp it up to 97 and 98, and that is the difference maker in modern baseball. I love what Michael Holmes, Buster Posey, and the staff have done in this draft. I think they've made a lot of really important decisions that set this franchise up for future success.
Glenn, how do you feel about the kid from South Carolina? Is he Bumgarner-like?
Well, they make it sound that way, right?
Don't they? Really?
Yeah, he's a big, strong, high school kid, which is exciting. You got to wait a little longer for a high school kid, but anything close to Bumgarner, I think we'd all be okay with that. But I think Kerry's right on. I don't know that, the Giants necessarily went in thinking we got to take pitchers, but sometimes it falls into place where it is a little bit of a need in the minor league system as far as, high-end pitching prospects. They got a lot of high-end infield prospects. We all know that. And sometimes it falls into place, and it looks like it did, at least early in the draft, which is where you spend most of your concentration talking about. But, with those first 3 picks, guys, you think about it, they got the number 1 college pitcher in the draft. I think most people felt that way about Flora. And then if you just, dig around a little bit, and I'm sure you guys have done that, but, with Beaumont and Wachter, the 3rd pick, now you got 2 of maybe, what publications are talking about, maybe 2 of the top 4 high school pitchers in the draft, maybe 2 of the top 5 high school pitchers in the draft, and you did that with your first 3 picks. I would guess that the Giants are thrilled about that. And I think it's great. I do. I like the idea of getting more pitching. I think that's the right move.
Kerry, what do you think about Peyton Bonds? What did you think about him? I'm looking at his name. I can't believe it.
I feel a little sympathy for this kid coming to the organization where every family member has played and starred, and there's such a reputation of greatness in the San Francisco Giants organization. You almost feel like Peyton Bonds would have been better served going elsewhere for Peyton Bonds because he doesn't have to live up to the family name. If he's in the Marlins organization or Nationals organization, he can just go be Peyton Bonds. But I think that it's a great fit for the San Francisco Giants to be able to bring someone like Bonds into the organization. He's obviously got the deep, extensive ties to the franchise. The fans will love it. If he ever becomes a player at the big league level, and that's always a question for these third-round draft picks and guys who are later on, you never know. But if he becomes a guy, the fans are going to love it. It is a match made in heaven. But I do feel like it's a difficult path. It is challenging if you're Peyton Bonds and you're not this superstar prospect. there are going to be guys who look at you when you get down a rookie ball in Arizona, and they're going to be a little jealous, and maybe things will be different in the clubhouse. So I just hope that he can be himself, and he has the freedom to be himself down there when he ultimately reports.
Well, he won't have a recliner, right?
Right? That's good. That's good.
Right? He's just coming in.
You hope.
Okay. From Rutgers, outfielder. Let's see. He's got power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this
Yeah,
isn't a legacy pick. I mean, this is a legitimate project. I mean, he was a top 100 prospect, and he's big and strong, and I guess he plays a terrific center field. So, I mean, not that anybody's thinking this was a legacy pick, but he is legit with size like that and speed and the ability to play well above average center field, which that's the report on him. That's not a bad guy to take a shot on, and the Giants did.
Glenn, what is Casey Schmidt's first half due to the ball club and his career when you have to look at it? What happens now?
That's a good question. He's been terrific. I mean, he could easily be an all-star. I think it's terrific for the organization because he still is a young player, ascending player, but we're seeing him every day now really take charge of becoming a well above average player. And that's terrific. That's terrific for the organization, wherever he ends up playing. He's shown that he's terrific at third. I think he would be terrific at second if he stayed there. And they asked the kid to play left field at the big leagues for the first time. And you know what? He was okay out there. So I think it's great for the organization. I like the kid. I like the way he plays. He gets off a good swing just about every time. And he's turned himself into he's a middle of the order hitter. I mean, he's hitting third for the San Francisco Giants. That's a big deal. So I think it's awesome, and I think he's well on his way to becoming a terrific player. And isn't that what we all want? As many good players as you can. We'll see what happens with Chapman. If the Giants try to trade him, it's possible. He may not want to go, but there's nothing wrong with having too many good players. And if you have to move, Schmidt somewhere else, then you do that. And that's not a terrible thing. So I'm excited for him, and I'm excited for the organization because, again, he was a second-round pick, and he has turned himself into a very, very good player.
Kerry, is there an offensive player on the Giants who's at bat you don't want to miss?
I mean, it's Luis Ariz every single time, Marty. He's different than 99% of major league hitters, and it's not because he's hitting the ball out of the park. There's 4 home runs this season for Luis Ariz. It's because it doesn't matter if a guy is up there throwing 101 miles an hour or if Tyler Rogers is coming in and throwing 81 and scraping his knuckles on the mound as he delivers. Luis Ariz is going to give the same quality at bat every time. It's like watching someone put a puzzle together. That's what I compare it to. Luis is such a deep thinker at the plate. And I've just so thoroughly enjoyed watching his at-bats this year, the quality of them. And I think that they've rubbed off on other players. I think that you're seeing Jung-Hoo Lee take some of that approach from Luis Ariz. I think that he is someone that you want to have around in a major league clubhouse. To me, he's a throwback to some of the older hitters that I watched when I first got into baseball growing up. And I just wish there were more guys like Luis Ariz in today's game.
Yeah, he's different, and I say he takes a pitch. He knows he's going to take a pitch. He's not going to swing, and then he laughs about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ultimate confidence. Let me ask Glenn this. What do you want to see, Glenn, in the second half from the Giants? What are you focusing on?
That's a great question. There's so much curiosity about what they're going to do at the trade deadline. Is Ariz going to go? Is Robbie Ray going to go? I mean, I think one of them's definitely going to go. We'll see. But at this point, I think you have to look at continued progress from guys that have taken kind of the next step, like a Casey Schmidt. Can Jung-Hoo Lee continue to be a 300 hitter? I think that's really important. The bullpen is the bullpen. It's not good. There's not a lot of confidence with really anybody out there. So that's I just don't know that, we're going to see a huge amount of progress there. I'd like to see Landon Roop, take every start, get to 175 innings. I think that would be good for the future because everything has to be thought about for the future. I'd like to see Carson Whisenhunt, take the ball every fifth day the next 2 months, which I think is possible. Things like that. You'd like to see Bryce Eldridge just, grind through it. He's struggling a little bit now, but grind through it. And, that's fun to watch. I'd like to see Devers stay hot. We're seeing the Rafael Devers now that kind of what he's all about after a very, very slow start. I'd like to see that. So there's things to watch for. The catching situation. Is the Susac, Cavanaugh, Rodriguez, is that the future? Or is that what are these guys going to be able to grab this job for the next 2 or 3 years? We don't know. Center field's a big, big question mark. That has to be answered for the Giants. I don't know if it will be this year or not, but so there's still lots of things to watch for. But I just think it's the Schmidts and the Lees. Can they continue to grow where they can be impactful players, not just this year, but down the road, the next 2 or 3 years, if the Giants are going to turn this thing around.
All right, Kerry, not much left for you other than maybe Logan Webb.
Sorry, Kerry.
Yeah, I was going to say, gosh, I agree with just about everything. I agree with just about everything Glenn said.
Don't agree with
and you
Kerry.
know me, I like to come on here and find ways to disagree with you.
How about Logan Webb? Go ahead. How about on that one?
But yeah, Logan Webb's a fascinating presence right now for the San Francisco Giants because, he had the first inning the other day where he gave up 5 runs, and then he comes back and is just dominant against the Blue Jays the rest of the day. And I think there's still a world in which Logan Webb can crack the top 5 or 6 in terms of Cy Young votes. He's always been great in the second half. He's been someone who goes 200 innings in a season, and that won't happen this year because of the injury that kept him out in May. But my goodness, he provides length for the starting rotation. He saves the rest of the bullpen. I think you're watching someone who's truly special right now. And yes, it wasn't a great start the other day against Toronto, but I want to continue to see him pitch every 5th day and prove that he's the leader of this team and the anchor of a staff that, within the next 2 seasons needs to be contending for a postseason berth. And that's an enormous challenge for a team that's 15 games under 500 right now.
All right, I know we have to wrap it up. I'll give you one more. Give me your one shocking trade that Buster Posey's going to make, that one player that you go, wow, I didn't think he was going to move him.
Oh, man. Boy, that's a tough one. What if you kept Arise and you tried to sign him to an extension and you put Casey Schmidt back in left field and you dangle Elliot Ramos?
All right, that's a good one. All right, I like that.
I'm not saying that there's anything there, but, there's only 9 spots in the lineup.
Kerry, you got someone?
Yeah, gosh, Glenn took my answer. I think that Ramos is kind of the guy because he doesn't necessarily fit the mold of a traditional Buster Posey type player, someone who really controls the strike zone, high on base percentage. I think he doesn't play great defense in the outfield. How about this, Marty? The Giants, I think, could do a baseball trade where they acquire a young, struggling player from another team and they give up Carson Whisenhunt. And I'll say this, the Giants need pitching. So why would they ever trade a young pitching prospect? Well, they haven't shown a whole lot of confidence in Whisenhunt over the past 2 years. It's someone who's dominated at AAA and has more than earned his stripes in the minor league, but just hasn't gotten a whole lot of opportunities at the major league level. And I don't think they know whether he's a starter or a reliever. He doesn't have a reliable third pitch. So why don't you take someone who's a quad A player from another organization, try to get him opportunities in a Giants uniform, and send Whisenhunt elsewhere to a team that can give him the starts or give him the innings in a role that they want to see him fit in. It's, way off the board. I'm not saying it'll happen. There's a 1% likelihood. But you asked, and there's my answer.
These are good questions. These are baseball questions. I'll give you mine. Jung-Hoo Lee and Matt Chapman go to the Yankees.
Wow. That would be a big one.
All right. We'll see. They got
Yankees
the
are a good
Yankees
fit
have
for
some
both of them. They're a really good fit for both of them.
The Yankees have some players that they could give up, some young offensive players, and also some young pitching. So we'll see. All right, look, I know Giants warm-up has got to go. It's not easy to squeeze all this stuff into an hour, so I appreciate everyone's patience. Glenn, have a great Sunday, and Kerry, you too, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. See you.
Okay, thanks, Kerr.
All right, thanks, guys. Thank you, Marty. And I don't think Giants warm-up has to go. I think everyone likes the extra 30 minutes of talking baseball, but that's just me. I truly love it. The conversations with Marty and Glenn on Sunday mornings, always fun, and especially a weekend like this where it's the Major League Baseball draft. We don't have to focus as much on the Giants and the Rockies, a matchup of 4th and 5th place team in the National League West, an incredibly disappointing season for the San Francisco Giants. We talk about that every weekend. We talk about our complaints with the bullpen, our complaints with the lineup, what this team needs to do at the trade deadline. Today, we're talking about the Major League Baseball draft, and we will do that on the other side. The Giants' first 10 rounds are complete. They've just taken right-handed pitcher Ian Korn out of the University of West Virginia in the 10th round. So a lot to discuss this morning with regard to the draft strategy from Michael Holmes, Buster Posey, and everyone inside that Giants front office that has really gone in on pitching and specifically gone in on velocity. I think this is a reaction to what the Giants have seen from the Major League roster this year, what they've seen throughout the organization, and identifying a real pain point for the organization and going out and trying to address it through the draft. And so it'll take years before we know whether this draft strategy was a success. It wasn't that long ago that the Giants had a similar draft where they went all pitching. I think it was something like 2021 maybe, where Will Bednar was the first pick, and they went a ton of different pitchers, and that hasn't really panned out. But this year, to me, is a reaction to what Posey and Holmes have seen from the Major League roster, seen from the farm system, and understanding what it takes to compete consistently at the big league level. So I am Kerry Crowley. The show is Giants Warm Up. We are rolling with you until Giants pregame at 12:05. First pitch, 1:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Pacific Daylight Time, I should say. Coming your way from Oracle Park. Kerry Crowley, producer Kyle Haar. You're listening to Giants Warm Up right here on The Sports Leader.
Giants fans, first pitch isn't too far away as KNBR's Giants warm-up continues on the sports leader.
Now the pitch is swung on at a high drive into deep left center field, way back there. Goodbye! A three-run homer for Casey Schmidt. That's the one they've been waiting for. 4-1 Giants.
We are back here on Giants Warm-Up. Kerry Crowley rolling with you. And that Casey Schmidt home run that keyed Saturday's win for the San Francisco Giants is our Smokin' D's Barbecue Home Run of the Week. Smokin' D's Barbecue, the flavor that's out of the park. Visit SmokinD'sBBQSF.com today for your next barbecue home run. 19 first-half home runs for Casey Schmidt. You can make the case he belongs in the All-Star game in Philadelphia on Tuesday. And I think everyone can make the case that he's proved a lot of people, myself included, wrong with his performance this season. Yes, there's still a few flaws in Schmidt's game. I think he's got to become more disciplined at the plate. He has to figure out a way to draw more walks, but I didn't see this coming from Casey Schmidt. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think the Giants saw this coming from Casey Schmidt. I think, maybe they just turn over the opening day second base job to him if they felt more comfortable with Schmidt headed into this season. Instead, he was projected to be a utility player, not projected to be one of the biggest difference makers in the lineup. Is hit this season. Comes in today's game with a 280 batting average, a 309 on base percentage, a 500 slugging percentage, and an 809 OPS. 19 homers for Schmidt, 17 doubles, 1 triple, 50 runs batted in, 7 stolen bases. He's played all over the diamond, all 4 infield positions and in left field as well. He served as a designated hitter. Casey Schmidt has had an outstanding first half in a season where the Giants just have not had nearly enough players performing up to expectations. So, how do you rectify something like that? How do you square the Giants' struggles this year and their 40-55 record with the vision for the future? You do so through the Major League Baseball draft. That is how Buster Posey can inject this organization with a much-needed infusion of talent. And the Giants have gone out and prioritized pitching in this draft. Not only did they take Jackson Flora, the top prep or college arm available, the top overall arm available coming out of UC Santa Barbara with pick number 4 on Saturday, they have subsequently used their draft picks on pitchers. 9 of the first 11 players selected by the San Francisco Giants, pitchers. Let's run through it right now. First 4 rounds took place on Saturday, rounds 5 through 20 taking place today. And yes, I do miss the days of the 40-round Major League Baseball draft. I miss the days of a guy like Sergio Romo, a late 20s round draft pick, making it to the big league level. Ryan Walker, who I know has had tremendous struggles this season, and Giants fans don't want to see back at the big league level, but the fact that he was a 31st round draft pick and ever made it to the majors is a player development success story. Those are the guys that I like to root for. So rounds 11 through 20 coming up. Anyone drafted here for any team, if they make it to the big league level, they've overcome some significant odds, and I will be rooting for those kinds of players. So Giants take Jackson Flora with pick number 4, and then with the selection they acquired in the trade that sent Patrick Bailey to Cleveland back in May, they use pick number 29, a comp balance round A pick, to take Carson Bowman, the left-handed pitcher, out of Southside Christian High School in South Carolina. Bowman projects as one of the top high school arms in this draft, a very intriguing prospect, a great fastball, command of his breaking stuff. I think Bowman is the type of guy who could make his major league debut 21, 22 years old, about 3-4 years from now. He could be a fast riser in the Giants farm system. What I love about Bowman is I don't think he's reached his ceiling in terms of his velocity yet. You read the scouting reports and you hear folks say, yeah, he's up to 93, 94, but there's more in there. This guy's an incredible athlete. And so I think that the Giants being able to sign Flora in all likelihood at an underslot deal enables them to draft a guy like Carson Bowman, and then with their second round selection, go out and get Caden Wachter out of Jesuit High School in Florida. Wachter, a right-handed high school pitcher. And again, pick number 55, but consider one of the top 3 or 4 high school arms in this draft, along with Carson Bowman. To add that kind of upside, I think in the first 3 picks was a very important move for Buster Posey, because you think about the Giants' top prospect list right now, and there are a lot of guys who look like they can contribute at the major league level, and there are a couple of guys in Joshua Gonzalez and Luis Hernandez who are 3, 4, 5 years away right now who could become future stars alongside Bryce Eldridge in this lineup. But what this farm system has been missing, not just this year, but really for the last decade, is high-end, top-tier pitching prospects. And the Giants have gone out, and they've added Jackson Flora, Carson Bowman, and Caden Wachter, who could immediately be 3 of the top 4 or 5 arms in this farm system. I think Flora obviously is going to be the number 1 pitching prospect. I think Carson Bowman has a case to be the number 2 pitching prospect for the San Francisco Giants. And then you start to talk about guys like Argenis Kayama, Kaner Martinez, and Jacob Bresnahan, who the Giants acquired a couple of years ago in the trade that sent Alex Cobb to the Cleveland Guardians. Those are the other pitchers who will be in the mix alongside Caden Wachter for top 15 prospect rankings and top 3 or 4 pitching prospect rankings in the Giants farm system. Obviously, you've got Gonzalez and Hernandez right up there at the top. A lot of folks high on Johnny Level, Bo Davidson, the outfielder at Double-A right now, Dakota Jordan, who's having a tremendous season at High-A Eugene. He'll be promoted to Double-A after his participation in MLB's Futures game today, alongside Gavin Keelan, last year's first-round draft pick out of the University of Tennessee as well. And Jordan has already flipped a double into the left field corner at Citizens Bank Park in that ball game. So an exciting season for a former 4th-round draft pick who the Giants took a chance on, a very toolsy guy who looks like he is working his way up the ranks. And speaking of tools, the Giants' 3rd-round draft pick is loaded with them. And it won't surprise you, given his name, Peyton Bonds, outfielder out of Rutgers. Yes, the nephew of one Barry Bonds, the son of Bobby Bonds Jr., the grandson, of course, of Bobby Bonds. And so he is someone who projects to, work his way through the farm system as a center fielder. The Giants love his defense out there in center field. They've scouted Rutgers in the past. Trevor Cohen came out of Rutgers, former 3rd-round draft pick. He's working his way through the organization right now. And Michael Holmes, since he took over as the scouting director for the San Francisco Giants, has really put a premium on scouting in the Northeast and in the Carolinas. And you see that reflected in the Carson Bowman selection out of Southside Christian High School in South Carolina, and in the Peyton Bonds selection out of Rutgers. And also with the Giants' 4th-round draft pick, Carlos Martinez, a senior sign out of Hofstra, someone who was really not on a whole lot of people's radars. But Martinez can crank that fastball up to 96, 97 miles an hour. The Giants obviously need more velocity in their farm system, and I think that Martinez is someone who, if it doesn't work out as a starting pitcher, and the Giants will probably find that out within the next 365 days or so, he could be a fast riser as a bullpen arm in this farm system. And look, you think top 3, 4 rounds, you want those guys to be everyday position players or starting pitchers. That's not always the case in the Major League Baseball draft. Sometimes you draft guys who fit specific roles, and I think that Carlos Martinez could be someone, along with a couple of other pitchers the Giants have drafted in recent rounds, who could rise through the farm system as a reliever. I'm sure that they will try him as a starter early on. He could go to the Complex League. He could go to San Jose this season, considering that he's a college prospect out of Hofstra, but I think that Martinez is someone who has the potential with that fastball and breaking ball combination to get to the big leagues. And that's what it's all about. Even if he's not a top 250 prospect or a top 500 prospect in the draft, and the Giants maybe chose him a little early, there's a lot of strategy involved in this, and I'll break that down momentarily. But we continue our look at the Giants' 2026 draft. 5th round, they take Luke Nixon, the second baseman out of NC State, North Carolina State, where the Giants also drafted Patrick Bailey with pick number 13 in the 2020 draft. Bailey, of course, traded to Cleveland for pick number 29 and Matt Wilkinson after spending the last 4 seasons at the big league level with the San Francisco Giants. But the Giants go back to the well there, take Luke Nixon, who had a successful college career for the Wolfpack. Round number 6, a really interesting prospect out of McNeese State in Louisiana, Eric Knoxteam. And I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that last name correctly, but he is someone with a great fastball who came on late in his junior season there. Eric Knoxteam out of McNeese State, a highly touted prospect from Louisiana, and he's someone who could make a difference as a high riser in this farm system. 7th round draft pick, they take left-handed pitcher Bo Bryans, who is a sidearm left-hander out of Jacksonville State. Total wild card, total lottery pick. No idea if that will work, but I do understand the intrigue there. 7th round, you're not going to get an all-time guy. You're not going to get guys who are in all likelihood going to be starters at the major league level. So why not go different? Why not take someone who has a completely different arm angle and motion? Bo Bryans, the 7th round draft pick out of Jacksonville State, which of course is in Alabama. Not the Jacksonville in Florida, but Jacksonville State in Alabama. 8th round, the Giants keep it in the South. They go Cody Brash, the right-handed pitcher out of Louisiana Lafayette, and this is someone who will almost immediately enter the farm system as a relief pitching prospect. The fastball up to 97, 98 at Louisiana Lafayette. He pitched out of junior college, and so did Knoxteam and Bryans, by the way. 3 consecutive picks, as Michael Monreal of SF Giants Digest, who does a great job with his YouTube channel, he tweeted this out. 3 consecutive picks, and Knoxteam, Bryans, and Cody Brash, who all pitched at the JUCO level before transferring to four-year universities. And these are small programs. The Giants really had to send scouts out to go find these guys at McNeese State, Jacksonville State, and Cody Brash at Louisiana Lafayette. 9th round, they go back to the position player ranks, take Mike Mancini, a senior out of Vanderbilt. This will be a cheap sign for the Giants. Slot value for pick number 268 in the 9th round, $208,000, but 4-year senior has almost no leverage, so in all likelihood, he'll be signing for about $10,000 to $15,000 coming out of Vanderbilt. But the guy who I think of when I looked at Mike Mancini's stats, he hit over 300 in his senior season. Tim Corbin, the Vanderbilt head coach, really praised him, and he's produced a ton of major league talent, 1,000 OPS. The guy who I think of when I see Mike Mancini out of Vanderbilt, a 4th-year player, is Mike Yastrzemski, who's a 4th-year player coming out of Vanderbilt, drafted by the Baltimore Orioles as I think 13th or 14th round guy. Spent 4 or 5 seasons in the minor leagues with Baltimore before he was traded to San Francisco in 2019. Starts with AAA Sacramento, comes up to the big league level, and ends up having a very productive major league career with the San Francisco Giants, and has now moved on after that 2-year, $23 million deal in free agency to the Atlanta Braves. So Mike Mancini, there's some different things in his profile that project kind of similarly to Mike Yastrzemski. So an infielder, not an outfielder, but a left-handed hitter, 4th-year player out of Vanderbilt. That's the easy comparison on my end. And then in the 10th round on Sunday morning, the Giants select right-handed pitcher Ian Korn out of the University of West Virginia. Korn, 6 foot, 205-pound right-hander, good fastball again. And that is what the Giants have prioritized throughout this draft, is guys who throw very hard. And that is what you've seen lacking in this Giants bullpen this season. I think one of the reasons they've really struggled to develop enough talent in the bullpen and to cobble together enough guys who they trust in high-leverage situations is they don't have the velocity to miss bats. They don't have the velocity to generate whiffs, rack up strikeouts, avoid the ball being put in play. And when the ball is being put in play, they don't have the defense to cover up the vast outfield expanse of territory at Oracle Park. So When that's the case, you have to have guys who consistently throw strikes, who consistently pitch with a high velocity and have upside in their breaking balls. And that's what the Giants have found through this year's draft. I love the pick of Jackson Flora. I was on the record before the draft, of course, with my colleague John Shea of the San Francisco Standard, who does a great job covering the San Francisco Giants. We were both advocating for the Giants to take Jackson Flora at pick number 4. There are a couple of other guys in consideration, according to reports. Jacob Lombard, who ends up going 14th overall, the shortstop out of Gulliver Prep. He goes to the Miami Marlins, so he stays home. And then Eric Booth Jr., an outfielder out of Oak Grove High School in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Thought if the Giants were going to go position player at number 4, Eric Booth Jr. made a lot of sense. He ends up coming off the board at pick number 7 to the Baltimore Orioles. So the Giants building this draft intentionally around pitching. It's Jackson Flora with pick number 4. It's Carson Bowman with pick number 29. It's Caden Wachter out of Jesuit High School, the right-hander with pick number 55. Peyton Bonds at pick number 90, the first position player taken by the Giants. And look, anything after the first 4 picks, anything outside the top 100, if the Giants get major league production and value out of any of these guys, that will be considered a success. All of your eggs are really in the basket of the top 100 picks. Anyone outside of that group who continues the major league roster and ultimately contributes at that level for the Giants, that will be considered a player development success story. But you really need to nail the first few picks, and the Giants have gone upside in the pitching department with Jackson Flora, Carson Bowman, and Caden Wachter. And the toolsy outfielder, Peyton Bonds, coming out of Rutgers at pick number 90. Ranked number 81 on MLB.com's top 100 draft prospect list entering this weekend. On the other side, we'll give you lineups for today's ballgame. We'll look at scores around Major League Baseball. Kerry Crowley and producer Kyle Haar hanging out with you on Saturday morning, getting you set for Giants baseball on the radio. It's the Giants and the Rockies, and it's the first half finale coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Our KNBR Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the Sports Leader.
Kerry Crowley back here with you Sunday morning, getting you set for Giants baseball on the radio. It's the Giants, it's the Colorado Rockies, and it's the final game before the All-Star break. Logan Webb headed to Philadelphia on Tuesday. He will not pitch. Alex Pavlovich and Giants beat reporters saying that from the clubhouse this morning. And Luis Arraez, Giants second baseman, will also go to Philly. It's time for our player to give credit to. Our player to give credit to is sponsored by Provident Credit Union. Provident Credit Union provides smart banking options like super reward checking. Visit providentcu.org. And the player to give credit to today is Giants right-hander Tyler Mahle, who turned in a strong start on Saturday afternoon. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. It's been a tough season for Tyler Mahle. That was just the second win he's earned this year. 2-8. Win total matches Carson Whisenhunt, who's made 2 starts for the San Francisco Giants this season. The ERA is sitting at 5.31. But if Mahle can come back from the All-Star break and give the Giants 2 more quality starts, I still believe they can get some sort of a prospect in return for him at the deadline. Will it be a relief pitcher? Probably. Will it be a guy in the low minors? Probably. But nevertheless, I think that they can use Mahle's contract, get him to a contending team as a potential 5th starter or back end of the bullpen arm, someone who can throw the 5th or 6th inning when their starter doesn't go deep into a game, and the Giants could get a young relief pitcher in return. That's the way that the trade deadline works, and I think that if they target a young up-and-coming prospect in the complex league or low A, and they've got their scouts down there taking looks at these guys right now, I think the Giants could end up with someone who ultimately impacts their pitching staff, I should say, a couple of years down the line. So it's time to give you the lineups for today's ball game. Here's how things will set up for the Colorado Rockies. Jake McCarthy, the leadoff man, playing right field. He torments the Giants. 9 home runs, 52 runs driven in, 14 stolen bases. That's team high for McCarthy. 301 average, an 851 OPS. Mickey Moniak, the designated hitter, former 1-1, 2016 first overall pick by the Philadelphia Phillies. He's caught on with the Rockies. 15 homers this season, 38 runs driven in, a stolen base, 283 average, and a 917 OPS. Hunter Goodman, the catcher today for Colorado. What a season he's had. 27 homers for Hunter Goodman, 51 runs driven in, 5 stolen base, a 251 average, and an 862 OPS to go with that. Rumfield over at first base. It's TJ Rumfield, 12 homers, 47 driven in, a 298 average, and 861 OPS. Kyle Karros over at third base, son of Eric Karros, former Dodger. He is in the 5th slot in the order for Colorado. 9 homers, 34 driven in, 3 stolen base, a 266 average, and an 809 OPS. Cole Carrig out in center field today for Colorado. The switch hitter will bat from the left side today against Trevor McDonald of the Giants. 4 homers, 22 driven in for Carrig. Plays a great center field, by the way. 2 stolen bases, a 281 average, and an 891 OPS. He's worked out. He's been a good player this season for the Rockies. Troy Johnston in the 7th spot in the order today for Colorado. Left-handed hitter with 3 homers, 39 driven in, 4 stolen base, a 304 average, and a 798 OPS. Tyler Freeman will hit 8th for Colorado. 3 homers, 23 driven in, 6 stolen base, a 264 average, and a 686 OPS for the man on the right side of the middle infield. And then it's Ezekiel Tovar rounding things out for Colorado today. 8 homers, 32 driven in for Tovar, 5 stolen bases. He's a special, gifted defender, but he is really struggling at the plate this season. A 202 average and a 579 OPS for Tovar. Here's how the Giants will set things up for Tony Vitello's squad, the final game before the All-Star break. It's Trevor McDonald on the hill today. McDonald coming off of a brutal outing against the Toronto Blue Jays. Earlier this week, he went 2 2/3 innings, 11 hits allowed, 8 runs given up. And it followed just a stellar performance in which McDonald held the previous opponent scoreless. Which version will you see today? The Giants really want the version that has been great against National League West foes over the past couple of years. Elliot Ramos goes today in left field, leads things off for the Giants. 8 homers, 28 driven in, a 271 average, 775 OPS for Ramos. Luis Arraez, the Giants All-Star, will hit second today, plays second base. 4 homers, 35 runs batted in, 8 stolen bases, a 332 average for Arraez, who's in contention for his 4th batting crown this year, and he can remain in contention if he's traded to a National League team at the deadline. 834 OPS for Arise. Casey Schmidt hitting third today for the Giants, the third baseman, filling in for Matt Chapman. 19 homers. That's tied for the team lead. 50 runs driven in, 7 stolen bases for Schmidt, a 280 average, and 809 OPS amid a career year for the former second-round pick out of San Diego State. Rafael Devers will bat cleanup today for the Giants. First baseman also has 19 home runs, a smidge ahead of Schmidt in the RBI column. He's got 52 on the season, 251 average and 803 OPS, but that's above 900 since May 1st after the horrid April for Devers. Jung-Hoo Lee moves up in the order. He hits 5th for the San Francisco Giants, and the Giants finally with some sense to hit Lee and Eldridge ahead of Willie Adames. 5 homers for Lee, 33 driven in, a 306 average, a 771 OPS. Best first half of his major league career. Bryce Eldridge bats 6th today for the Giants, the rookie DH. Struggling a bit of late, but the numbers have been okay. He doubled in yesterday's game, 8 homers, 20 driven in, a 270 average, and 832 OPS. You'll take that from a 21-year-old. You will always take that from a 21-year-old. And heck, the Giants will take an 832 OPS from just about everyone in their lineup. They've moved Willie Adames down in the order to the 7th slot. A much-needed move today for the Giants. 15 homers for Adames this season, but not doing much else. 36 runs driven in, 2 stolen bases, 224 average, and a 692 OPS for the man signed to the 7-year, $182 million contract. Drew Gilbert hits 8th for the Giants, playing center field. 4 homers for Gilbert, 19 runs driven in, no stolen bases, a 237 average, and a 695 OPS. And then Drew Cavanaugh, the former 17th round draft pick out of Florida Southern. He's doing the catching today, the rookie, no homers. 2 runs batted in, a 233 average, a 536 OPS. A lot of singles so far for Cavanaugh in his brief major league career. We'll see if he can add some pop to that smooth left-handed swing that hasn't quite produced as much as the Giants were hoping when he first came up from the minor leagues. Giants pregame on the other side. First pitch coming our way at 1:05 p.m. Pacific time today. Michael Lorenzen, Trevor McDonald. It's the final game of the first half coming your way from Oracle Park right here on KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
It's another beautiful day in San Francisco. Perfect day for baseball, and it's the final game for the Giants before the All-Star break, before Logan Webb and Luis Arise head to Philadelphia to join the National League All-Stars. I'm John Miller. Dave Fleming is on assignment. Dwayne Kuiper will be along in the middle innings. We've got a full pregame show to come next.
Hey, everybody, it is July 12th in Giants history. We're going to go back to 2019, Bruce Bochy's last year as manager. Not a great year for the Giants, but hey, Buster Posey had a good swing on July 12, 2019 at Milwaukee when the Giants were taking on the Brewers at Miller Park. You guys remember Sean Anderson? He was one of those Farhan Zaidi trade pickups. He was taking on Chase Anderson of the Brewers at Miller Park. So Sean Anderson pitching for the Giants, Chase Anderson for the Brewers. A little back and forth in this one. Brewers off to an early 2-0 start, top of the fifth. Giants tie it up. 2-run homer from Austin Slater, the Stanford kid. And then they take the lead in the sixth when Evan Longoria, that's right, Evan Longoria hit a 2-run homer. So we jump ahead to the ninth. Now it's tied up. It's kind of a wild game, 5-5. Brandon Crawford, what a swing, takes Josh Hader deep. What a clutch home run from Brandon Crawford. Hader was basically unhittable. Lefty on lefty crime, too. But the Brewers tied it up in the bottom of the ninth, wiping away Crawford's heroics. So we go to the 10th. There's no ghost runner. There's just a bases-loaded situation for Buster Posey.
Now the infield comes in, bases loaded, nobody out. For Posey, who has 1 hit in 4 at-bats. The pitch, Buster hits a high drive center field. Kane going back. He'll look up. It is gone. A grand slam for Buster Posey.
Man, road grand slams. That'll work. Dave Fleming on the call. Lorenzo Kane had to watch it go. And even though the Brewers would score 1 in the bottom of the 10th, the Giants win a wild one, 10-7 in Milwaukee with heroics from Brandon Crawford, Austin Slater, and big grand slam Buster Posey. That was on July 12th, 2019. And this has been Brian Murphy with this date in Giants history.